Hello everyone, my name is Nathalie Ricaud. I'm a professional organizer and the founder of Get Organised Beyond. I work with families who feel overwhelmed by all the stuff that they have accumulated in their home, being the toys, the clothes, the books, the paper, the digital files, or even by all the activities they're trying to fit into their schedule. I help them declutter and set up systems and take new habits so they can create and maintain a clutter-free, organized and peaceful home. I'm delighted to be here today at Style Degree Request and answering your questions you have about decluttering and getting organized. How can I kickstart the decluttering process and ensure that I stay motivated to complete it? And afterwards, is there a system for keeping my home organized, especially if it's a small space? Well, you should start by defining your why. We basically don't declutter and get organized just for the sake of it. We have to hope to achieve something bigger out of it. So it could be that you want to save time, that you want to save money, to reduce your stress level, to improve your relationship with your spouse, or to be a role model for your children. So by having clarity on what it is that you're hoping to achieve, it's going to help you kickstart the journey, but also stay motivated along the way. Because I have to say, decluttering does take time, and it often gets worse before it gets better. So having clarity again on what it is that you're hoping to achieve will help you along the way. How to stay organized? Well, it's quite a broad actually topic here, but what I can say is staying organized requires having set up robust organizing systems that are basically backed up by robust habits. I'm sure you heard the saying, a home for everything and everything in its home. Well, the first part, a home for everything, refers to the organizing system. And the second part, everything in its home, refers to the habits, because you need indeed to take the habits of putting things where they belong so that you can find them again and stay organized in the long run. Another good example, if you want to stay organized in the long run, could be to limit the inflow of things that you're bringing into your home. And the best way to do that, to acquire this new habit, is by understanding, while you're going through the decluttering process, why you've been buying stuff, why you're holding onto stuff, so that by creating this awareness, hopefully you'll be able, to review your buying patterns. There are a lot of other things that can be done, but I hope that it is at least a starting point. Okay, and an interesting question here. Some people struggle balancing decorating their homes with cleaning their homes. Any advice? Well, I'm not an interior designer nor a cleaner, but what I can tell you from an organizing standpoint is that the more you're on, the more time you need to take care of those things. And also, the more you display, the less likely you are to honor and to appreciate those things that you are keeping and that are meaningful to you. So I think you need to be selective and really to keep only those things that bring very happy memories to you, and just let go of the rest. How do I persuade my mom to start decluttering? And it's specified she's a hoarder. And I think it's important I start commenting on the word hoarder, because this word is actually overused by many. So what is a hoarder? A hoarder is someone who does accumulate a lot of random things and who struggles to let go even a single piece of old paper, a newspaper, a plastic bag, up to the point that it becomes very difficult to move from one room to the other and to perform simple tasks such as cooking, bathing, or sleeping in our own bed. So if that described your mother, I really urge you to seek the help of a mental health practitioner, because hoarding has been recognized as a mental health condition a few years back by WHO, and it's important that you and her get all the help you need to help her probably, create a safe environment for her at home. So if the situation is not that extreme, and I hope it's not, because I know how difficult it is to live with a hoarder. If it's not, there are a few things that you can do to help her declutter. The first thing is you need to come clean yourself. You need to make sure that all your areas are clutter-free so that you can lead by example. The other thing you can do is, instead of engaging her on the physical clutter, try to move the discussion to what it's costing her to be cluttered and what she would have to gain. So for example, it could be health issue, respiratory problem because of the dust at home. It could be the time that she spent cleaning at home, or maybe the inability to see her grandchildren as much as she'd like to. So try to find what would be, the motivation for her to declutter. The next step, if she decides to declutter, just be there by her side to guide her, to encourage her. But by all means, don't make decision on her behalf, and do not judge the decision she's making. If she decides to keep things that you think she should let go of, just let it be. Otherwise, you're going to create resentment, and she will probably stop in her track and refuse to continue the process. And don't forget to celebrate, a success, a progress. I think decluttering is really a journey. It does take time to be clutter-free. So just encourage her and remember all that she has achieved to keep her going. How should I organize my kitchen cabinets? Well, there's no one size fits all when it comes to organization, including the kitchen. It depends pretty much of the space configuration, how much shelves and drawers you have, the depth of those shelves, but also your preferences and how much you own of different utensils. But there are a few things that you can keep in mind when organizing your kitchen. First of all, before even the organizing, it's about, again, making sure that you keep only the thing that you need and use in your kitchen. Kitchen comes quite often with a lot of gadgets or things we use on a very occasional basis. And I think this is what we call a lot of aspirational clutter. We just hope that, to be a cook as good as our mother is, or we just want to be the perfect spouse or mom who is able to put a very healthy meal on the table every day. But the reality is that you may not have time to do that. So be realistic and keep only those things that you can use on a regular basis, and let go of the rest if you don't have the space in your cupboard. You're gonna save a lot of time, and this will definitely encourage you to cook some more. Now, when it comes to the organization, you want to keep similar items together. So you're gonna keep all the baking utensil, the cooking pots, the storing, food prepping, daily wares for the table together, so that by keeping them in categories, it's easier to find them. You want also to make sure that you allocate a home to those items as close as possible to where you use them. So for example, glasses may be good in cabinets near the tap. Obviously the pot and pans will be best placed underneath the stove, and all the baking tins probably close to the oven. And You also want to make sure that the things you access on a regular basis are easily accessible. If you have every day to use a ladder or a stool for items you put on the table every day, after a while you're not going to put those items back where they belong, and you're going to leave them on their countertop, and you're going to deprive yourself a lot of space to do the food preparation, and you might not be very inclined to do some more cooking in your kitchen. And the last element to take into consideration in organizing your kitchen is fragile items are obviously best fitted on higher shelves, and things that are heavy appliances on the lower shelves, so that you don't break your back or risk your own safety when accessing them. What are your top 3 tips for organizing a toddler room? Well, children comes with a lot of stuff, right? So my first tip is actually to keep the contents of their wardrobe and their cabinet quite current with things that they are currently able to use. So let's take the example of clothes. If your child has outgrown some of the clothes, then don't keep them in their active wardrobe, but put them aside, for example, in a container or a box at the bottom of their wardrobe. And when the box is full, you can decide what you want to do with it, whether you want to keep some of it because you're hoping for another child, or whether you're ready to give them away or to donate or even to sell because you don't. Similarly, with clothes that they cannot fit in yet, don't keep them, mix them together with the other clothes. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of time when you want to get them dressed in the morning, and it's going to create confusion. The second thing that's important as well in a toddler room is to make sure to keep similar items in categories together, so that it's easier for you and for them to find what they want when they need it, but also to put them back where it belongs after you use them. And you want to keep those different categories in containers together. So let's take the toys, for example. You might have categories of building blocks, cars, dolls, train sets, board games, card games, music instruments, and so on. So you want to allocate a specific container to each of these categories. And I'm a big fan of actually cube storage with basket that can be easily slide in and do not have any lid on them. So it's easier for the child and for you as a parent also to access them, and most importantly, being more inclined to put things back where they belong after use. The third thing to keep in mind when organizing a toddler room is labeling. Again, to remember where things are and where they belong. And if the child is not able to read yet, you might want to use some images instead, some pictures you get them to download from the internet, or some drawing you want them to make. That will be helpful and be used as a good memory reminder. What kind of decluttering schedule would you recommend when it comes to paperwork? Well, paper is indeed quite a challenging area to keep organized, and you really want to dedicate time consistently, regularly in your schedule, so that you can stay on top of your paperwork. So the first thing to do is, whenever a new paper enters your life, you need to get rid of as much as you can at that point. So we receive a lot of things we never asked for, things that we're never going to read or do anything with. That's the time when you need to let go of those things. Then you probably need to have in your schedule sometimes at least once a week or maybe twice a week to action some of these papers. So paying bill, answering requests, some form from your children's school, and so on. And once you have action this paper, you can ask yourself, do I really need to keep it? If not, take the opportunity and get rid of it. If you are working on longer term projects, it could be, for example, like researching a nursery for your child, you're gonna accumulate paper over the course of a few weeks, for example. Then when the project is completed, when you have found the nursery, go through your file and decide what you need to keep, and hopefully you'll be able to let go of most of the contents of that file. Then when it comes to reference files, so things that we keep on the long run, you probably need to have at least once a year a time where you're going to go through all those files and do some further purging. So the frequency depends of how much paper you're dealing with and how much you can focus on purging paper. For me, after 1 hour of purging my own paper, I must say I'm quite sick and tired of doing it. So that's the maximum I know I can handle this task. So I do need about 40 minutes to go through all my personal file. So I do that once a year. I do that at the beginning of the year because it helps me to start afresh. When it comes to work files, for example, it's a bit longer. It's probably around 2 hours a year. So instead of doing that at one go, I prefer to spread it, and I do it twice, once in June, once in December, basically before the holidays, so that when I come back, I can go straight back to what's important for me in my job. But that's my own schedule. Try to find what suits you, but most importantly, put this time in your diary so that you remember to do it and you get a better chance of getting it done. How to declutter or organize sentimental items, being the cards, the notes, the photos, and so on. So first of all, sentimental items are really a category of items in your home that you should declutter at the end of your decluttering process, because it's really the most difficult items to declutter. So make sure that you have gone through the rest of your home, the clothes, the toys, the books, the medicine, the kitchenware, before you get there. And hopefully by then you'll have built your decluttering muscle and it will become easier for you to make those decisions. The process to declutter a sentimental item is the same. You should start by categorizing those sentimental items. So if you have photos, greeting cards, and so on, maybe you want to have a category for the greeting cards, and then you may want to categorize them further, for example, by events such as birthday or milestone birthday, or by sender, the person who sent you the cards. And then you're going to have to go each of these categories and decide what you're going to keep. And you're going to need to make a decision and to really keep the ones that are most meaningful to you and let go of the rest. Because if you keep everything, you're not really going to enjoy those that are really meaningful to you, right? So if it helps, you can maybe take some pictures or scan or use some apps such as Archive to keep a memory of those that you don't want to keep, and maybe do a project, a collage out of this, or at least having the knowledge that you have saved them somewhere in a digital form so that they're not taking so much space, but they're still there. If it helps, you don't have to, but for some people it does help. So then for the other one that you want to keep in a paper form, I guess you can probably keep them in boxes, such as a shoe box, for example. And the advantage of that is a shoebox or any container for that matter give a kind of limit to how much you own. So you know that when the box is full, you might have to revisit the content and do some further purging so that you don't keep increasing how much you keep in that category of item.